know how all your so-called power counts for absolutely nothing. How your entire empire of destruction comes crashing down, all because of one little cherry. One little. What a lovely ballet. It's so full of form and color. One little.
It's Mo. It is December 24th, which means that it is Christmas Eve, so happy Christmas Eve if you celebrate. I am starting this vlog late. I ended the last vlog late. Here we are on the guest bed full of laundry, so I do have to fold laundry. I wanted to talk about what I was currently reading. I did finish 3 books last week, and then also finished 3 books so far this week. Could that be right? I finished the poetry book I was reading, I finished China in 10 Words, and I finished Quicksilver, which took me a really long time. So I'm on all new books, and they all have red spines, which is interesting. I am currently reading You Can Be the Last Leaf, selected poems by Maya Abu al-Hayat, translated by Fatty Judah. This is a collection of poetry. It's not grabbing me quite yet. I'm not loving it, but I think it is interesting. It is a Palestinian voice. This was published in 2021. This is a Palestinian author who lives in Jerusalem, so I think that it's a very relevant voice, obviously. It's just that the poems are not speaking my language, if that makes sense. Like, I find that with poetry, sometimes it just touches something in my brain and works and is pleasing and pleasurable to me and makes sense in my brain, and sometimes it doesn't, and this one is not doing that yet. Sometimes there are passages in poems that do it. Sometimes there are full poems. The last poetry collection that I read, Anyone, I didn't expect to like at all. It was a totally random purchase. Then I really, really enjoyed it. And there was just something about the way that that poetry collection worked, the way that he used rhyme, the cadence of the poems. They were by Nate Klug, by the way. Just like touched something in my brain, and it was a language that I understood, and it was a language that was beautiful. Whereas this, I mean, obviously I understand all the words, but like, it's not translating to me the way that other poetry sometimes does. And I find that that is when I really, really love poetry, is when it just like tickles that sensory nerve. That's how I love it. Nikki Giovanni does that for the most part. Gabrielle, what's her name? The woman who wrote The Last Time I Saw Amelia Earhart does that for the most part. So this one's not doing it yet, but you never know. Sometimes it takes me a while to get into, and I'm really only about 25% of the way through. On audio, I started reading Rental House by Y.K. Wang. This I got earlier in the year in a library book sale, and it's a signed copy, but it's a very short audiobook. I've only read like the first half an hour or something so far though. And then I decided to finish The Good Life, Scott and Helen Nearing 60 Years of Self-Sufficient Living. I read the first book in this, which is called Living the Good Life, many years ago. I think my first or second year on BookTube, and it was one of the first pioneering stories that I've read, one of the first self-sufficient lifestyle books that I've read, and I've been reading books like that ever since and loving them. I've always liked books that touched on those themes, but I never read books that were specifically about it. I've heard about this book for years and years from my parents, who read this book when they wanted to be self-sustaining, when they wanted to live off in New Mexico on a farm, and when they wanted to kind of extricate themselves from society as much as they could. And I think in the new year that's going to be a theme for me, is really trying to live a more like cyclical life and trying to live more with a cyclical commerce and environment and just everything. If I can, patron more of the places that are doing what I admire and what I think is the right way to do things for the world, and diminish my donation of money, my giving of money, my really putting stock into everything else. And then I also really want to kind of come up with some things that I can do to like extricate myself from the world and the way the world is, but encourage my community and the benefits of my community, benefit my community, give more to my community, and things like that. So we're going to see about that. Maybe forming a new community is part of that as well. But I thought it would be inspirational and good to continue on with Scott and Helen Nearing's books, and this is Continuing the Good Life. So the first book, which is quite a bit longer, is about them moving out of the New Jersey, Manhattan area, completely renovating a farm in Vermont, and learning to live the lifestyle that they want. And then the second book, which is quite a bit shorter, is the continuation of that story when they move out of Vermont because it gets too crowded, if you can believe it, to Maine and start all over again. But they are taking now all the things that they've already learned, and they're taking along with them their community and other things. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see where they are. This book is told in a very, I mean, it's a nonfiction book, but it's told in a very dry, instructive way. These are very much books about how to do the things that they did and what worked for them and what didn't. And it's less about like their life and their lifestyle and their biography. And I definitely, after reading many more of these books, prefer it when it's more of a memoir, more of an inclusion of their lives and their thought process and their feelings and their emotions throughout these stories, not just an instructional pamphlet for what they did and how you can achieve it too. Either way, though, I am enjoying it and I'm excited to read it and I'm excited to finish it. So that's that. I do think I need to pick a fiction book to read physically because although I'm getting through this pretty quickly, it is very dry, so it might be nice to have a fiction book alongside it as well. So I might pick that later today or later this week. Other than that, it's Christmas Eve. I don't think we're doing anything really today. Okay, so here's like an example of how I want to like live a little bit differently in the new year. I've been very prone to try trends, specifically trends around food. So I have been very prone at the end of 2025 to seek out food that I see online that I want to try. But a lot of times that food goes against my zero waste, minimal waste, plastic free lifestyle. So for instance, for Christmas, I decided that I wanted to make, I guess it's viral, the viral Snicker salad. So it's like Snicker bars, apples, whipped topping. You mix it all together and then there's like sauce on top, caramel sauce, and it's, you know, a delicious sweet treat, a sweet salad in the vein of like a sweet Waldorf salad or pink salad, which is something that my husband's family did. So we're going to kind of combine pink salad, which is basically like cream cheese, whipped topping, fruit, and maraschino cherries to make it pink, and the Snicker salad. So we're going to make a cherry apple Snicker pink salad for Christmas with my dad tomorrow, which he's going to abhor, by the way. That is not the kind of food that he eats at all. Pink salad, all of that sounds totally disgusting, but of course they're totally delicious. So I want to try it. And I've been seeing it around, and something that I think I've gotten bad at over this last year, being seduced by trend. More than anything else, more than BookTube, more than anything else that I watch or I consume media-wise, I consume food media. I always joke that like the thing that I love to do the most is watch people eat. Partly that's because of my profession in the service industry, partly because of that's my predilection towards food and food industry and delicious items. Partly that's because I just find it extremely enjoyable to watch that kind of thing. But more this year than any other year, I've been like intrigued enough and seduced enough to try the things, to go out to the fast food restaurants and try the fast food items, which I don't do very much, obviously, because we eat vegetarian, borderline vegan a lot of the times. There's so many of the trends that I can't even attempt and wouldn't attempt. You know, seeing people's media on eating hamburgers is great. I still want to watch it, but I'm not going to go out and eat a hamburger, you know. My issue is that I've gotten so lax in my zero waste lifestyle and I've gotten so lax in my plastic free lifestyle that like I went out and bought Snickers and it's like 6 Snickers individually wrapped in a plastic packaging. So there's plastic for the containing the 6 Snickers. There's plastic containing each Snicker. Snickers is a bad company. It is run by Mowat, Mars, which is a company that I used to boycott pretty heavily and have allowed myself to slacken on that boycott, but I would like to continue to boycott because it is owned by Unilever or one of those that, you know, the whole thing that they take milk away from babies, they do all sorts of horrible things. The chocolate industry is terrible in that it is basically slave labor and child labor all throughout the world. So I should really only be eating fair trade, ethical chocolate, which 99% of the time I do, or I eat one of the lesser bad, like Hershey's, which is a slightly less bad. Mars tests on animals. Like, if you're a vegetarian, you should not be eating Mars products because they test on animals and they do horrible, torturous things to lab mice and lab rats to make chocolate. Like, I don't think you need that, you know, but they're bad companies. So probably this will be the last one. And I get into this cyclical thing where, like, my dad will get us chocolate and I'm like, well, it's better to eat it than not eat it. But I really want to make it clear to everyone this year that I don't want to be eating from Mars. I don't want to be eating from all those bad companies. If you're going to get me chocolate, get me ethical chocolate, get me homegrown, get me small chocolate. Did you hear him? Is that what woke you up? Marty was fighting Chips. He was just being mean to Chips. He's just mean all the time. Bitey. Is Saturday, December 27th, and it snowed last night. Well, it snowed this morning, really, because at 4 a.m. when my husband went to bed and when the cats got me up, it was sleeting and it was like pretty gross. But now it is fluffy and puffy, it's snowing and nice, and it's still snowing even though they said that it shouldn't be snowing necessarily. So that's exciting. That would help if I actually focus the camera. Yesterday, I worked on my bookcase. I did work from home. We did go out and buy some supplies. We did hang out a little, clean a little, but then I worked on my bookcase, which I've been wanting to do. And I did actually start doing earlier in the month and then continued. I did the first 3 shelves. And then yesterday I did the second 3 shelves, except I realized that I was going to have to move everything drastically. So I started back on the first 3 shelves. And all this is to prep for my keep or toss, which is my whole TBR from this year, which is huge. I have to go through, and I'm so excited to do it. I love doing that video every year, and I love doing that process every year. So I have to go through and decide what I want to keep. And my aim for changing up the bookcase, which you will see more of later, is really to like make it reflect my current reading more and like who I am as a reader. So there's a lot of books that I bought this year that I had read on audio, or I had in softcover but I wanted a hardcover, or I had borrowed. So I found a lot of books this year at little free libraries, at thrift stores, at book sales, and I was able to swap them out on my shelf or put them on my shelf if I didn't have them. So I think my shelves are looking really good. I definitely had to move them around more than I thought I was going to. But now I'm at the point where like some shelves are totally full, so I need to actually put the books from 2025 in there to see how much more space I need. But I decided just this morning really that there's a blank space of wall by my couch. Here, I'll take a little footage on my phone. So like this space above my couch that I have in here, which is a pull-out couch because we use this as like a guest room sometimes, I could put really 4 shelves above the couch without impeding the couch and have that. I was originally thinking I would put a small bookcase there, like a hanging wall bookcase, but now I'm thinking it really needs full-on shelves, and that would give me so much room to grow so that if I do keep reading at the pace that I'm reading at, I will have room to really grow and move and put all my tchotchkes and put all my collections. Not that I'm going to keep more books, but since I am getting books that I do want to keep on my shelf, I think it makes sense to put like more shelves there, have more room. And actually you can see above my bookcase, I have some mirrors up there, which I do like, but I could put another shelf. I could even keep those mirrors there and put a shelf between the 2 mirrors. And then that way I would have one more shelf up there too. And Douglas Adams could go up there. And it's very high. It's like right to the ceiling, but I think that could look cool. And then that's what I would do there. I would put 1, 2, 3. I think I can get 4. I think I can get 4. It'll be right to the ceiling though. I mean, I could make them even with the shelves. I could still put 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. I think that would be cute, and I think it would look nice. And even if I wanted to, I have a space over there that I could put like a little corner shelf and put some more books on there, so room to grow. Overall, this room is a complete disaster. I had to move plants around yesterday to even get at my printer, which was broken, which is kind of not, it wasn't broken, it was jammed, but I had to like full body get in there and fix the jam. So fun New Year's stuff. I've been journaling every day. Yesterday was the first day I really stayed off my phone, which is a goal for me. It's going to be huge this year, I think. I see an immediate difference when I'm off my phone. I see an immediate difference when I get out for a walk every day. I see an immediate difference when I take the time to do cleaning, even though I hate to clean. Those are all going to be goals. And I'm thinking about goals for the year. I'm thinking about reading goals. I'm thinking about things because if I want to put out my goals video, I'm gonna have to film it really soon, and I haven't really thought about it yet. It's 11:30. I'm sure we will get out to the snow at some point, but like I said, it's still snowing even though they said it wasn't going to, so we might wait till it's done, and then we'll probably go down to the beach and the boardwalk again. I'm glad that everyone liked seeing the beach in the snow. It is a really fun and crazy time to be on the beach when it's snowing like that. Oh, you know what I didn't say about my shelves is that I had to stop because I knocked over a plant. I broke the plant, which is so sad. I hope I can reroot it and it'll be okay. And I spilled water all over everything. It was a little bit of a disaster at the end, and it was like 10:30 and I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I just stopped working on it. So I do want to work on that today and finish moving the shelves the way they need to, and then put back a bunch of the stuff that I had to take out because everything got wet. Luckily, knock on wood, unless I missed something, everything was like okay. It didn't get too wet. Then I just have to organize my TBR, which will be a lot. Hope everyone had a great Christmas. I didn't film too much. I haven't filmed too much this week, and I think what I decided I'm going to do, my original plan was to keep doing this video till Sunday and then take it through the new year, to do another vlog through the new year. But I think I'm just going to take this vlog through the new year because that makes a lot more sense. I haven't been talking to the camera that much. I haven't been filming that much. Comes a certain point in the weekly vlogs. Week 1, week 2, 100%, I'm there. Week 3, I start to forget that I'm vlogging. I start to stop filming and talking to the camera. And then week 4, I usually have a resurgence, but it doesn't make sense to just film like 3 or 4 more days. I might as well just tack them onto this one because it has been hectic. It has been hectic. Another thing that kind of went by the wayside is my themes, my intention, because today I think are TBR Spin sprints for the new year, which I haven't picked out my new TBR Spin list. Maybe we'll do that in this video. I wonder when those are. Let me look. Maybe I'll pick out my TBR Spin stack with you here. That way they'll be recorded. I have a plan for it, so we'll talk it through when I talk through my TBR Spin list. Oh, it's tomorrow. Okay. TBR Spin sprints are tomorrow. So that actually would be perfect. Let's aim for making a new TBR spin list today for 2026. Joining sprints at least just to see the spin tomorrow so we can pick our first book for 2026. And we'll talk all about what happened with 2025 later. As I was saying, this week my kind of plan was to catch up on TBR spin. I have not caught up on anything. I have not read very many books. This is probably going to be the lowest amount of books that I've read within a month throughout the entirety of 2025, which is totally fine. It's still a lot of books. But my plans, my schemes to do Cloak and Dagger Christmas, to do TBR spin, to finish all the things that I wanted to finish, not going to happen this year. That's fine. Just because the year ends doesn't mean that we stop doing all our projects or that we have to start all our new projects immediately. We can continue what we're doing. We can, move on slowly. We can finish things up. There's no rush. There's like no rush to do anything, especially with reading, especially with the book community, especially with your hobbies, especially with things that you enjoy. Like slowly, peacefully, enjoyably is a good way to do things. Let me know how your holiday went if you celebrate the holiday, or let me know how your Thursday went, your week went, how it's going. Let me know if you have plans for the new year, if you like to do something on New Year's Eve. Let me know if you have plans to make goals. I would love to hear that in the comments below. Like I said, I think I'll keep this vlog going, so I'll talk to you again tomorrow or later with my TBR spin list. It's Sunday, December 28th at 11:47, which means that the reading sprints for the new TBR spin have already started over on Freshly Read Books, Sarah's channel. So I wanted to come back and talk to you about my TBR spin pile, which I did make yesterday. And then I also wanted to mention a few things. I was just editing the video from week 3. I had a couple of things that I wanted to update you on. First of all, I have not been getting up at 5 a.m. So something that I want to do, but I haven't. This morning I could have gotten up at 5:30 because that's when the cats got me up, but I was so tired and I had gone to bed late, so I went back to sleep. And that's like mostly been what's happening. Like I could get up, but then I don't get up and I'm like, oh, I'll only sleep for like another hour. I'm sure I won't sleep that long, but I don't set an alarm or anything because it is holiday break and my husband is off, so I don't want him to have to wake up, and he is going to bed very late. And then I wake up like 4 hours later, so it has not been productive in that respect. But it is still something that I want to do, and I think once my husband goes back to work, I'm going to make a much more concentrated effort on it. So that'll be in the new year. The next thing I wanted to update you on was the book Quicksand by Junichiro Tanizaki. I did finish this book this week. I started this video only talking about the books that I was currently reading, but I did finish this one before I started the video. In week 3, I mentioned that I think this is going to be like a book of morals, like that the morals are going to win out. That is not what this book is about. This is much more of a tongue-in-cheek, much more of a book of opportunity, or like a book showing the opportunity of some wily people. I thought it was going to be that women should be subversive, and that's the correct thing, and that's the moral of this story. But that isn't what this is about. This is a little bit more like, oh, maybe if you take the opportunities as they come to you, whether they're moral or not, life will work out better for you. So I just wanted to put that out there because I was very wrong about what the book was going to be about. You can hear more of my thoughts on it in my December wrap-up. Thought I should mention that. Oh, another update that I wanted to give you was I did find my copy of Owls in the Family. This is the middle grade that I read by Fairly Mowat last week. It has some illustrations. It's just a very sweet, oh, that's a terrible part, book overall, although I had issues with it as well. That's it. Those are the things that I wanted to update you on. So while this video is uploading, let's talk about my 12 books that I picked out for the TBR spin in 2026. Last year, year for TBR Spin, I did short story collections and a lot of memoirs, a lot of nonfiction books, and then a few books that I have been wanting to read. So I did pick out a slave narrative that I've been wanting to read, which I didn't actually get to. I did pick out Begin Again by Eddie S. Glaude, which is a nonfiction, which I didn't get to. And I did pick out a Toni Morrison, and then if that prompt came up, I would just read whatever Toni Morrison I was working on. But I didn't ever actually get a prompt that fit that. I just read a bunch of Toni Morrisons. And then the rest were all short story collections, which I did complete all of, which was a way to get through my short story collections. I definitely look at the TBR Spin as an opportunity to pick out books, because you'll definitely be reading, hopefully if you finish, 12 books in a year, which I did not. There were 4 books that I didn't read. 5 if you count a DNF, but we'll talk about that another time. I find the TBR Spin a way that you can insert books throughout the year that you wouldn't normally reach for, or that you, a certain genre of book or a certain type of book that you would want to get through. I always pick books that are works by people of color, because one of my goals is always to be reading more works by people of color. And again, this is a way that 12 books can get in there. So I did that again this year, but this year the books that I chose, 6 young adult / middle grade books, which I talk about in the last video. This is not the project that I was talking about that will help me pare down my middle grade / YA books, but these are 6 middle grade books that I really want to get to, and I really want to at least give a try. And this year I'm going to be very generous with DNFs for the TBR Spin if I decide that I don't want to read these books. But these were 6 books from my young adult shelf that I really do want to get to, and I just never reach for because I don't really read middle grade or young adult works. So the first one is Blonde Roots by Bernadette Evaristo. I think this is more of a middle grade, but a longer middle grade, and I think this is about a reversal of the races, as in the black race is the predominant race in this world, and then the whites are the minority. I have Jacqueline Woodson, Red of the Bone. I've never read any Jacqueline Woodson. Unless I read a short story by her, I might have done that, but this one is supposed to be really, really good. I've had it for a very long time. It's a signed copy, so I would like to get to this one. I think this is just about a child. Then I have one that I really think I will enjoy, which is Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. This is a book all told in verse, and specifically told in like little poems. Not just one long passage of verse, but many little poems. And it is about the thoughts of a young man as he goes down the elevator in his housing complex. What is going to happen? So he is going downstairs to do something, and the thoughts that he has on this long way down. So this one is going to be super quick. I think it's going to be really interesting, really satisfying, and I just never go to pick it up, but I think it's a great one that I should read. Next we have The Floating World by Cynthia Kotohata. This is a young adult, or possibly even new adult, by a Japanese American author. I've seen some good things about this. I think it was written in the 80s or 90s, 1989, and I don't know what it's about other than that, but I've heard good things. How Do You Live is kind of a instructional manual for Japanese children, and it is a Japanese modern classic. It was written in the early 1900s, but it is often touted as many people's like favorite books or inspirational books. I think Studio Ghibli's creator was really enamored of this book, and I've tried to read it a couple of times, but I do know that I can get it on audio, so I think I'll probably try to read this one audio when it does come up. And like I said, it's instructional, so it's like how you live, a way of living better, and how you should be respectful, and how you should be giving, and all that stuff. I have a feeling that I'm not going to like this book. I have a feeling that the ideas are going to be outdated. I have a feeling that it is going to be very one-sided of a way to live, but I also think that reading this will give me a good insight into a lot of the Japanese authors that I like. And I do think that this probably has a lot of influence on the modern style of Japanese books and Korean books that we see now, in those kind of instructional, like the books that tell you how to live a better life, the books that have a moral, that have a consequence for bad action and a consequence for good action. So I think it's going to be a really beneficial read. I just don't know how enjoyable it'll be, which is probably why I haven't picked it up yet. And then finally we have 5 Midnights by Anne de Villa Cardinal. This is a young adult horror, and this one just looks really interesting. interesting. So I don't know what it's about other than that, but I think this will be a fun one to pick up. So those are the first 6 books that I picked. And then the second 6 books are all translated works, because a goal that I had in 2025, and I'm going to continue into 2026, is to read a bigger percentage of translated works. The first of which kind of bridges the gap between the two categories, and that is Monkey, A Journey to the West. This is a classic Chinese tale of pilgrimage and adventure, and it is retold by David Cardian. Cardian is a poet and author in their own right, but this is a translation and retelling of a classic Chinese tale. So I'm not sure who the originator of this tale is, or if it even has one. You know, it could be so mythical that it doesn't trace back to an actual person, but I'm very excited to read it, and I think similar to How Do You Live, this is going to be like instructional and informative in like how you should conduct yourself in life. Next we have Atlantic Hotel by Joao Gabalto Noel. This is translated by Adam Morris, and this is a book that I picked up earlier in 2025, and it just is adorably cute, and I would like to read it. In 2025, I tried to read Nawal al-Saadawi's God Dies by the Nile, and I got about 30 pages in, maybe. Yeah, 36 pages in, and I was enjoying it, but it seemed like it was going to be a very heavy read, as it seems like all of Nawal al-Saadawi's books are, but I would like to finish this one. I probably will have to restart it, or at least glance back over the chapters that I've already read. I think the TBR Spin is a good way to force myself to read this one. The Woman in the Dunes I got in 2025 at a library book sale. This is by Kobo Abe, and this is translated by E. Dale Saunders from the Japanese, and it has drawings by Machi Abe, who I guess is related to Kobe Abe, I would guess. By the way, Nawal al-Saadawi's God Dies by the Nile was translated from the Arabic by Sharif Hatata. So this is another Japanese modern classic, and I think it is all about a man who becomes obsessed with a woman. I don't know, seems really interesting. Can't remember what drew me to this one besides it just being a Japanese modern classic. I put it on my want to read list quite a few years ago, and I was super happy to pick it up. This is a beautiful copy, and I do really enjoy these illustrations in here. I don't know what they mean, but so I'm excited for that one. I also have Pedro Paramore's Juan Rulfo, which is translated by Margaret Sayers Pendon. This is a, I believe, Hispanic, possibly Mexican modern classic. Let's see, does it say? But I've heard really good things about this. Again, I don't know what it's about. I don't remember. But I am excited to get to it. And then lastly, another book that I got this year, My Documents by Alejandro Zambra. This was translated from the Spanish by Megan McDowell. I like Megan McDowell's translations. This one, again, is one of those ones that I had on my want to read list for a really long time. Do I remember what it's about? No, I don't. So I might as well get to it. This is one of the longer books that I've chosen, but it is still pretty sparse inside. So I think by choosing shorter works, by choosing works that I'm excited about, but also works that I want to get through, by choosing middle grade, I should have a good high success rate. Obviously in the TBR Spin, you sometimes get swaps. You sometimes have to trade out books. You sometimes do not read what is on your original list. But I do have quite a few other middle grade books, and I have tons of other translated works that I could swap in for this. So I think I'm going to try and keep it pretty, So I'm excited about the TBR Spin, and I'm excited about my success rate. So I probably will be doing a video at some point where I finish up all my TBR Spin books from 2025. Because I did finish all my books in 2024. I think I did in 2023 too. So I would like to always have completed the TBR Spin. I will just complete them into the new year. It's not that big of a deal. In a minute, once my video is done downloading, we will go ahead and look at the spin, because I'm sure the spin has already been stated in the reading sprints. My video downloaded to my computer. Now I have to open Safari. It takes forever because my computer is so old. Now we wait. Such a pretty cover. The spin was already up. I only missed it by a few minutes. Not too bad. Not too shabby. So look away if you don't want to know the spin yet for January 2026. But the spin was a book where a word in the title or one of the author's names starts with one of the following letters. TBR Spin. A word in the title or one of the author's names. Red at the Bone has R, T, and B. That's 3 letters. Long Way Down, Jason Reynolds has R. We'll say no to that one. The Floating World, T. That's it. 5 Midnights has none. How Do You Live has by Genjishiro Yoshino has none. Blonde Roots has 1, 2, 3. So that's in the running. My Documents has by Alejandro Zambra has none. Juan Rulfo, or is it Pedro? Is Juan Rulfo the author or Pedro Paramore the? This is why it's always so confusing. Juan Rulfo is the author. I think I said it the opposite way when I just talked about it. Pedro Paramore by Juan Rulfo has 1. R. The Woman in the Dunes by Kobe Abe has 1, 2, 2. God Dies by the Nile, 1, 2, 3. Monkey, A Journey to the West by David Cardian only has 1. So the 3 that I'm going to pick from are the 3 that have the most, and that is Red at the Bone, Blonde Roots, and God Dies by the Nile. I think in keeping with the idea that I really want to read YA down, I am going to go with Red at the Bone by Jacqueline Woodson. This has been on my TBR for a really long time, and I've heard only really good things about it. It is very short, like the font is huge, the margins are huge, the words are sparse. This should not be hard to get through. I do think it's probably got tough subject matter, but I think it's worth it to read this one, and I do think this is the book that's been on my TBR the longest, so I think that will also be good for me for other projects that I'm doing. Happy TBR Spin, January 2026. How exciting! We are going to read Red at the Bone. That's awesome. It's already all working out. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you there. I'm going to upload my video. I'm going to, and hopefully put it out right away. I'm going to do my work that I have to do. I'm going to try and take a walk when my husband wakes up. I hope you're having a great 4th week in December. Good luck on the last week in December and the last week of 2025. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I mentioned here. Let me know what you thought of them. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! What are you doing? You're so happy?